because you've lost your teenage beauty. I remember I was doing this communion service at this retirement home, and there was this woman, Marcia, and I don't know if you've seen the old Bugs Bunny cartoons and stuff, but there was one of those old ones where it had this little old bitty lady in a wheelchair with silver hair put back in a bun, and she had a really long chin, like, and she wheeled around this chair. This was Marcia, to the T. Unbelievable. I couldn't believe this was her. And one day I showed up to do this communion service and she wasn't there. So my habit was to go to their rooms to see if they missed it or forgot or whatever, or maybe they weren't feeling well. So I went to her room and she was lying in bed. It's the first time I'd gone into her room. And I said, Marcia, we missed you at the communion service. And she rolls over and she goes, I know. How are you? Oh, I'm fine. And I had a chance to look at her room. I said, look at all these pictures and on her dresser. What's this picture? And I thought, wow, this is a striking picture. Marcia, this picture's beautiful. Who is this, your daughter? And she goes, no, it's me. And I looked at that picture, and then I looked at her, and I looked again, and I said, Marcia. And she's looking at me. You are so much more beautiful today. You see, ladies, the measure of your beauty, the true measure of your beauty is in your capacity to love. And Marcia's this wonderful little old lady now, who every other time I've seen her up and around in this retirement home was constantly loving others. She's beautiful. And gentlemen, the measure of your strength is not how much you can bench press or how much money you're going to eventually make or what car you drive or even the way guys do it, what your wife looks like. The measure of your strength is in your capacity to sacrifice. For that is what we were created to be, protectors, not predators. But we live in a culture now that trains us to be predatorial, gentlemen. Is that not true? When you look at television, isn't that what the guys do? All the guys do are just out and predator, they're the predators. They look for girls and see who they can conquer. I was trained that way. My lifestyle with that porn addiction definitely taught me that women were to be objectified. Simply to be used as eye candy, and then if you got lucky, go farther. It happens here, isn't it? Didn't you walk into this room with all these other different church youth groups and scope the room out and see who's who? Check out who's here? It happens. So, what does Jesus want for us? What is He trying to communicate to us? What does He want us to know? What is He trying to help us see about who we're called to be and what we're called to be? There's an awful lot. There's so much more we could discuss. But what you need to understand is this, from a chastity perspective. I've been married to my high school sweetheart. Susan and I dated when we met. We were in high school. We dated for 5.5 years. Somehow, miraculously, with my addiction and stuff, we remained virgins. We just didn't want to have sex until we got married. I didn't want to. And yet I was stuck in that stupid addiction. Susan didn't know. I was a coward, couldn't tell her. I was too afraid I'd lose her if she knew the truth. Married her 27 years, I still to this day practice chastity. What? Isn't that like you shouldn't have sex? Chastity goes far beyond that. Yes, I can have sexual union with my wife. But see, there's a huge difference. And if you will, do me a favor. Tune in for 2 minutes. This is something you really need to hear. The world tries to throw out this idea, especially, I remember when I was younger, Satan tried really hard to make me think that before I got married that I had to have sex. Oh, you're coming in your sexual peak and all of this stuff, and they're pushing it. Oh, you gotta have sex, gotta have sex. The guys on my soccer team would make fun of me in the locker room. Always telling me, "Oh, you're not a man unless you get laid. And ladies, that's happening in at least a lot of public high schools that I know of, if not some of the Catholic ones too, where that pressure is coming. We never did that. But you see, chastity is far beyond just this, no, you can't have premarital sex. And for those of you who are saying, well, it's not in the Bible, it is under the word fornication. It's about an entire lifestyle of purity, of seeing people beyond that. You see, one of the things that John Paul II said about pornography is the problem with porn is not that it shows too much. He said it shows too little because you stop at the flesh. You never see the spirit inside anymore because you're just objectifying the person in front of you. You see, this is all about an identity. I said to you this. You know why? The Catechism of the Catholic Church, section number 221, says this. St. John goes even further when he affirms that God is love. God's very being is love, sending His only Son and the Spirit of love. In the fullness of time, God revealed His innermost secret. Do you know what that is? His innermost secret. Are you ready? Here it comes, because this has everything to do with you. Everything. God Himself is an eternal exchange of love. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. He has destined us to share in that exchange. So you want to learn a little bit about who we're created to be? You and I were created for love. We were created to love, to give ourselves away to each other, but not like just indiscriminately throwing ourselves around. We were meant to do it within the context of a sacrament. You know why? Because in the sacrament of marriage, 3 people get married. That's the difference between getting married in the church and 2 people getting married at the justice of the peace. 3 people get married because we're being brought into this interchange of love with God. The Catechism also says, how is God going to save us? He wants to divinize us. That means to share in His very life. How do we do that? This life of love. That's what He wants to draw us into. We were created for love. And I finally got it when I read Theology of Love. I used to do this survey with different youth groups when I started speaking regionally. I asked the students this. I said, say you're going to live 80 or 90 years old, and you're on your deathbed, and you are dying tomorrow, and you have the opportunity to make this reflection. After you've spent 90 years of your life, what are the 2 most important things you'd want to get out of life? 2 most important things. And the kids are throwing out, I want to make lots of money, and I want to be a superstar, I want to do this, that, and I pushed past all that superficial stuff. And when I finally pushed them to the core of what it is that they really wanted to get, the number 1 answer was the same for both guys and girls. You know what it was? To love. They want to be able to have a life where they have shared love with someone else, where they've been able to love someone and be loved by someone. But the number 2 answer was different for guys and girls. Very interesting. For guys, the number 2 answer was they needed respect. And for girls, what they needed was security.